Hello, and welcome back to CIT-05-L2, Snort Installation and Config. In this lab, we're going to learn how to configure Snort on pfSense, and monitor ping traffic with custom rules. Lab duration is about 30 to 75 minutes. Our requirements is we should have a basic understanding of Linux, some understanding of firewall rules, and the pfSense package management. This was done in the previous lab in CIT-L1. Some resources: you need to have a Windows 10 virtual machine. If you're not familiar with that, please visit one of the videos in the library to do the standard installation procedure for a Windows 10 device. We'll need VirtualBox, which we have running here on the right. We have pfSense running from the previous lab, and we have Windows 10. And when we get to the Snort configuration, we'll have some extra lab links that you see here. And of course, the textbook has some documentation and some narrative about the course, Introduction to Scene. Okay, so let's get started. Lab task 1, install Windows standard installation procedure. I happen to already have a Windows 10 device because we're several weeks into the course and have been using a Windows 10 device. If this is your first time coming to this lab, please visit one of the libraries, one of the videos in the library to install your Windows 10 device. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the browser, get rid of the lecture notes, and bring Oracle Virtual Manager a little bit closer. Okay, so here we are at Windows 10. And in Windows 10 device here, what we want to do is make sure that Windows 10 is powered off. We're going to Settings, as it mentions here. And in Settings, we're going to the network adapter. And we're going to select Internal Network. And we're going to select VO Corp in the Advanced Settings. And in the Advanced section, we're going to allow VMs, and we're going to have the cable connected. So I see my screen looks similar to this screen here. I can click OK and continue to move forward. So we're going to power up this VM. I'm going to get rid of my virtual manager for now. It gives us a little bit of room with the Windows 10 device. Okay, let's just log in. And in this case here, I may get a prompt if I want my PC to be discoverable by other PCs on this network. I'm just going to say yes. It doesn't really matter. I just want the screen to go away. And in this case here, we are instructed to use the CMD or the command line. So I type CMD. No need to run it as an administrator. And I'm in the CMD. I'm logged in as a user John. I'm going to run ipconfig to take a look at my IP addresses. And I see I have an IPv4 address of 10.0.0.0.2. That's from the previous lab. I'm getting a DHCP assigned IP address from pfSense. I have my mask, which is off. And I have a default gateway of 10.0.0.1. I can address this a little bit later, but for now, I'm going to be okay with this here, this network. Just to be sure, let's see if I can ping the outside world. So in this case here, it says ping 8.8.8, and I'm getting healthy ping replies, and I'm okay with this setup here. Okay, so now it says, on step 7, open the browser and LAN IP address of the pfSense device. So let's go ahead and open up Chrome, which is my browser of choice. You can use any browser that you like. And I'm going to type in 10.0.0.1, and I get prompted that my connection is not private because I do not have a signed certificate. I'm going to click on Advanced and proceed anyway. And then I enter into this screen here, which is user admin. It's going to be admin. And the default password is pfSense. At this point, on step 9, I have the welcome message. Welcome to pfSense appears. Yes, this is what it looks like here. I see I'm supposed to click next. I click next. It takes me to this screen where I click next again. And then I have some configurations where I have pfSense, example, my server, local domain for the domain name. And in the primary DNS, we're going to put 8.8.8, which is Google's DNS servers. I click next. In this screen here, I'm going to take the default time server, which is fine. I click next. Then I have to scroll down to the WAN interface, the RC 1918 networks. I want to make sure block IP addresses and block networks, block bog-on networks are set up. I'll address this a little bit later. We click next. In this case here, my WAN interface is a 10.0.0. The subnet mask should be 8. So let's go ahead and change this to 8. I click next. For the admin password, I can change it to a new password, something that I will remember. I'll do that now. pfSense likes my new password. I click reload. And then I'm entered at this screen, which looks very similar to this screen here. When it says when the configuration success message appears, click finish. I do have the success message, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and click finish. I'm presented with the no commercial distribution. I click accept. And at this point, I wasn't prompted for a survey, which is fine. I'm okay with that. And then we go into lab task 3. We're going to install Snort. By the way, if we ever need to come back and run this wizard again, I can go to system and set up wizard and go through that whole wizard process if we ever need that. Okay, so let's go ahead into the system package manager. So in system, in the menu, select package manager. And I'm going to go to available packages, and I run into a slight problem here. So let's just take a look and see how we can address this. And we had talked about this in a previous lab, which is I'm on the 2.4.4 release. So in system, I'm going to go to update and see what updates we have available. And I see I'm on the current 2.4.4. I have an option to go to 2.4.5, which is very similar as what we needed for the lab. So I'm going to go ahead and select this. I know it says deprecated, but as we said before, we are professional drivers on a closed course. We can use this for education and experimental purposes. I'm going to click confirm. I see here that it's waiting for the host and it's waiting for the system to update. So we're going to just pause here and wait for the installation process to go through. Okay, so that whole thing took about 2 or 3 minutes to update. We're back. I'm in the pfSense sign-in again, so I'm going to click admin. Keep in mind at this point, it's the password that you changed in a previous step. And I'm back in, I click accept. This is where I get the survey. I don't want to take the survey, I close out. And I am back in System, Package Manager. I'm looking for available packages. And at this point, I get the screen that I was looking for, which is on page 16, available packages. I'm going to search for the Snort package. Snort is an IPS, an intrusion protection system. So I'm going to select Snort. I see the 4.1.2.3, they have a later install. Oh, that's okay, a later distro version, I should say. That's fine. We click install. I click confirm, same thing as in step 4 here. And it says, please wait. Continue the next task only when the success message clears. So I have it. pfSense Snort installation successfully completed. This is great. I see success down here. I'm okay with that. And in this case here, we will go into lab task 2, which is the Snort configuration. So we will have to require a machine that we install pfSense on in a short practice. So I browse to this URL. I'm going to click on it, and it takes me to my browser here, and I have Snort. Now, if you're new to Snort, you can go ahead and sign up and go through the process of Snort. It'll take you to this screen when you're done. And what I'm looking at is this screen here, which is my Snort account. So Snort is snort.org. I'm going to just sign in after you have an account. I have my password here, so I didn't have to type it for the purpose of this tutorial. It says it's waiting for Snort, and I'm signed in. So in step 5, excuse me, I go into my email account, or my Snort account. I'm waiting for Snort to reply. I see that it's waiting down here. Okay, so I'm in my Snort account. It looks very similar to what you see on the screen here. I'm going into oink code, and I'm going to copy and paste this code. So I select it, I right click, and I copy this code. And then I don't need the Snort anymore for now. I'm going to get rid of my browser and go back into pfSense. And in pfSense, under services, I'm in step 6. I go to services. I'm looking for Snort. On page 21, let's just drop down a little bit. And now I'm on step 7, click add to add a Snort interface. I click add, and I'm going to, in the general settings, Snort interfaces, in the general settings, we have enable interfaces. I want to make sure that we have the LAN configured. This is great. The description, let's go ahead and type LAN interface. And we're going to take the snap length of 1518, which is fine. In the alert section, we're going to Snort will send alerts to firewall systems log. Default is not checked. So I made sure that that's turned on. I have log alert, log alert. In custom config, I'm fine at this point. No need to do anything yet. In global settings, so I'm going to scroll down and save this. So step 9, I'm here of step 9. Then I'm back on the top of pfSense, and I'm in the global settings section. Global settings, similar to this here. I want the Snort subscriber rules. So enable Snort VRT. I want that selected. When ask me for my Snort oink master code, this is the code that we have in buffer. So I put that in there. So I just paste that in there. Page 23. I go down into the Snort ET. So we're going to enable, click to enable download of Snort GPL-v2 community rules. I make sure that's selected. I'm going to enable the ET open, the emerging threats rules section. And I'm also going to go down into general settings and make sure that never is selected. Make sure remove block host after deinstall is selected. Keep Snort settings after deinstall selected, and the rest is unselected, and I save. I'm finished with page 24. Navigate to the updates section, and I want to click on update rules, which is on page 25. This section here, I do update rules. I'm looking for this screen. I see it here. It's processing. Now let's just give that a moment to complete. Great. That took about 45 seconds or so. I see I'm looking for result success. I have result success here. So great. I'm going to scroll down. And then I'm going back to Snort interfaces. and then I'm going to click the pencil icon to edit it. So I go to Edit, and then in this section I'm going to the LAN categories. This was on page 26. It looks similar. And now I'm going to 16. I'm looking for some specific rules. I'm looking for emerging exploit rules. So I'm in the Windows box here. There's a lot of things going on here, so I want to make sure I select the right ones. I'm going to Control Find. I'm assuming the word exploit is going to be fairly unique in this page. So I'm looking for emerging exploit rules. I want to make sure that's selected. I'm also looking for ICMP. So I want emerging ICMP rules. I want this one selected. And I'm also looking for malware. Emerging malware rules. So in Snort, I'm looking for emerging exploit rules selected, emerging ICMP rules selected, emerging malware rules selected. I can get rid of my box that I use for Control F, which is Control Find. I scroll down all the way to the bottom and I click on Save, and that takes me to step 17 of page 27. I'll go back to Snort interfaces, and in this case here, I'm going to start that interface by clicking the Start button. That takes me to page 28. I am now in the Snort interfaces, and I'm looking at the same screen here, and then we're going to click the edit mode again. So just want to make sure everything is working here. I have it turned on. I could tell it's started. So I'm going to step 18, enter the edit mode for the interface again. So I click on the pencil icon. I'm going to navigate to LAN rules, which is this section here. And then I'm going to custom rules. And in custom rules, I'm going to write the following ICMP rule inside and click Save. So I'm going to click this rule here, right click, copy, and paste. And as you know, I can paste into this VM is because we have guest editions installed, and I have shared clipboard bidirectional. I also have drag and drop. Shared folders doesn't matter at this moment. Excuse me. I click Save after I have the file in. I get a nice prompt that says custom rules validated successfully, and any active Snort process on this interface has been signaled to live load the new rules. Perfect. So now I go to my CMD command. So I go to the command line, and I'm going to ping 8.8.8.8 again, to which I don't have any replies, and there we go. Starting to get some healthy replies. Let's do that again. So now I can minimize this now that we have some healthy replies. I go back into the pfSense interface, and let's go to alerts. And in this section here, I can see all of those ping replies, and we now have 15 entries in the active log. Let's just do that again. We are at the end, close to the end of the lab. So page 32, we're at the end of the lab, but just one more time just to make sure this is working. I'm going to clear all my log entries. I click OK. I'm going to put this on the side just real quickly here. I'm going to, just so you can see this. And let me just put this right here so we can see. And I'm going to ping again. And what we should see is the Snort log picking up again, right? So I'm just going to reload. And now we see that the Snort IPS is working, it's configured properly, and we're at the end of the lab. Hope you found this useful. See you at the next one.